Good evening, everybody. This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. Oh, look, we have a hat.
Somebody's rubbing it in with a hat.
With antlers. Oh, my goodness. As we welcome in Sam Nestler, who is very much in the Christmas spirit. We have Craig Ludwig. And from Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, we have Sean Shapiro, also very much bearded up like he is Yukon Cornelius.
Sam, did you get that hat with the new car you bought today?
I love it. Look at that, Sam. Ryan Vaughters is our producer. Before we get into tonight's broadcast, let's remind everybody about Sam's hat and everybody else out there. They are available, alldls.com. Check them out. Sam's wearing the one for the car dealership. And, of course, the Stars one is that nice green one with the star behind it. Looking good. And I think we'll have Luds talk more about that in the ad break because he is thrilled right now.
I can't wait.
Sam, I feel like you're rubbing it in right now because Luds doesn't have his, and my sweatshirts I ordered aren't there yet.
There's a reason I wasn't wearing it when we did our little before the show.
What a guy. He just wanted to troll Luds. Okay, well, let's get right to it. Sean is on scene, on site. Let's get going to that. Sean, morning skate today, the dad's trip. Thoughts so far on how things are going for the Dallas Stars, who, of course, won on Sunday with the dads in town against Toronto and have won 4 in a row.
And then had the proper recovery day, the day off from practice yesterday after all the shenanigans of Sunday to then travel and had dinner here in Detroit last night before morning skating game tonight. And kind of a fun scene this morning because I wasn't in the room for it, but you could hear it. I was outside the Stars locker room when it was happening, but they were going through and they did their normal game day film breakdown where they're going through and breaking down how to prep for the wins tonight, going through the clips and everything like that. And a lot more energetic and loud than you would expect from typical Hero film session. And that's because they had the 25 dads in the room in the film session as the coaches were going over everything. And it was, as Glenn Goldson told me this morning, he said, pretty sure there was some of the dads were paying better attention to the actual film session than their sons. And it was, some of them did their best to bite their tongues on potential backseat coaching, as that definitely wanted to be brought into on some of the film sessions. So moral of the story is probably parents with opinions of Lud's U18 team. Just because your kid makes the NHL, that doesn't go away. So.
Don't get Lud started on that. Something I think that's interesting beyond the fact that you cover both of these teams closely, Sean, is that there is a bit of a parallel with coaching changes from a calendar year ago, because we are 3 days from when Derek Lalonde was fired right during the holiday break, and in came Todd McClellan. And obviously, the Stars waited until the summertime, not Christmas, but there are distinct personality changes with both of these teams' new head coaches.
Yeah, and it's actually even more fitting as tonight's the 1-year anniversary of Derek Lalonde's final game coaching the Red Wings. It was a 4-0 loss in this building to the St. Louis Blues. Really listless, utterly poor performance that was kind of the final nail in the coffin that cost him his job here. And ironically, a year later, I just saw Derek Lalonde is now the power play head man in Toronto after all of that. So it's kind of funny how this all connects after some of our conversations after Sunday's game, where Wyatt Johnson has more power play goals than the entire Toronto Maple Leafs combined. So the fact of the matter is, but these two teams, they both, since a year ago, they both had the change in coaches, and they both kind of had the change where they needed the personality change. We talked a lot about in our show the other day about Pete DeBoer versus Glenn Goldson, and how Glenn Goldson is more of, like, we talked about his bedside manner. We talked about how he handles people. We talked about all of that. And the other thing with Glenn that was really interesting, and talking to some people, just is how he treats others and kind of getting that feel from other players today, just kind of chatting around the room today. And I think the Wings they needed someone to go a little bit of the opposite way. And now I think Derek Lalonde was Derek Lalonde had never been an NHL head coach before, but he was someone who was coming in as an assistant. He was coming in from an assistant role at the Tampa Bay Lightning, and probably didn't have the respected voice. He wasn't the ass kicker that they needed. And the Wings kind of went to Todd McClellan last year, and he came in and really changed the mentality of the team. He came in with that kind of that prerogative to go and force change, to force them to be a tougher team and everything like that. And so it's interesting to see, because these two teams now, where they both are, they're both near the top of their division. Now, the Stars may never catch the top of their division because what Colorado's doing, and Detroit could be at the bottom of their division if they lose 2 in a row because of how tight the Atlantic is. But these two teams are both really, now they both really bought into what their two coaches are trying to do, and both of them in their own different ways have talked about being tougher, winning those battles. And Glenn has obviously been big on that 1% all the way to the playoffs. Todd McClellan's been big on getting to those hard areas and everything like that. So it is it's going to be a really fun game for me to watch tonight, because it's a game where rarely do you get both teams talking about the other team as a test, right? Now, I think it's a little more tongue-in-cheek because it's harder for Glenn to find tests. When you are the second best team in the league, it's harder to find tests. But for Detroit, this Stars team, if you want to be the top of the division, you want to do this, you want to do that, these are the teams you have to win against. So,
all right, 2 quick things. Impressions from your conversations, because you don't get to see the Stars in person very often. So morning skate there. And then if we have time, a quick synopsis of where the Red Wings are with their season to date.
Yeah, and the teams are stepping onto the ice right now, so I'll keep it quick. Casey DeSmith is starting tonight. He just on the ice first, if you want that. And Adam Ernie's in for Colin Blackwell as we see these guys step on the ice here. But for the Wings, the process has been about embracing being tougher, embracing the build, embracing some young guys who have become leaders. I think a big one tonight to watch is, when I talked to Glenn Goldson about it this morning, is Moritz Seider. Moritz Seider, we know about what he does defensively, we know about the matchups, but he is a nasty, nasty player to play against. That I think now, given a little bit more responsibility in the locker room, given a little bit more voice to be a full-time assistant captain, has really unlocked him to kind of push the mentality of this Red Wings team. And from a Stars perspective, it was interesting talking around the room, talking to some players. This group pulls for each other so much, and I know Sam's written about it and talked about it, but it's interesting to hear it firsthand for me, because you talk about and it's everyone's quick to say this, and then they're like, oh, I'm not comparing it to Pete. But when you're saying I'm not comparing it to Pete, you clearly are comparing it to Pete. And so it's where in the room there's a bit of that mutual respect factor that everyone kind of pulls and pushes for each other. So should be a fun one tonight. For me, it's not just two teams I know really well. I'm really excited about the chess match between the Miro Haston and Mo Seider time on ice. I expect both to play. 3 days coming off. I expect both to play 25, 26 minutes. Should be a really fun matchup-wise tonight for that. So should be fun here.
All right, Sean, great stuff. We look forward to you joining us in the postgame. Bravo from Rudolph, and we will talk to you after tonight's game. Thanks so much.
See you postgame, guys.
There you go, Sean Shapiro at Little Caesars Arena.
So that's what it feels like.
Now you got to pay attention. But no, in seriousness, let's talk about Mo Seider and Miro Haston. And Luds, as soon as Sean brought him up, I got to ask Luds about this, because you have a knack for looking at the game, but especially defensemen. What does Mo Seider inspire in your brain when you watch him play?
Well, he's a heavier player. I mean, if you're coming across the middle of the ice, you're going to get hit. I think that the difference is Miro's a puck possession, skating, break plays down, create problems for the offensive from the offensive side of things for the opponent. And with Seider, is he just tries to break bones. And he's not Gudis, but he's a total package. He's probably not what you would consider today's number one-on-one defenseman, or number one defenseman. I think today, when we say number one defenseman, you're thinking about Makar, you're thinking about Hughes, and again, like I said, Miro. So I think Seider is more of in the middle of that. He's not a guy that's going to get pushed out of a hockey game. He's going to do the pushing. He's not, and he's not a Trouba. We think about Trouba with how much he comes across the middle of the ice, and he's looking for the hit every time. I think Seider's a mix of all those guys. He can play the game, and you know what? I think that's probably as close to a Nicky Lidstrom, who's a Hall of Famer and one of the best to ever play, that they've had since Lidstrom.
Let's take a look at the Detroit defensive lines expected, the pairings, and obviously John Gibson, since we're on the topic. And they have the young Axel Sandin-Pellikka, who we saw, Sam, during the prospect tournament in Frisco. Yep. And he's one of several players that were part of that for Detroit that are in this NHL lineup that we didn't think maybe would have a shot at being in the big club, maybe AHL this year. But Edvinsson, Seider, Sherratt, Sandin-Pellikka growing. That's pretty good top four, don't you think? Sam?
I'm looking at, I was just looking at, I wasn't sure if Lutz was going to talk first because it's defense, but I was just looking at stats because I was looking at this team and I was trying to figure out where, if you would call them deep or not deep. And if they have a few of their guys going, they can be deep. Problem is they don't necessarily, but then I was looking at their back end. They get some good offense from these guys, right? Like, I mean, you're looking at Seider's got not just, Lutz talked about his physicality and all the stuff he does. He plays a lot of minutes. He's got 21 assists and 6 goals already on the year. Edvinsson's 8 assists, 4 goals. You got 9 points, 14 points from this guy. And then 5 points from their bottom pair. It's more offensive than their offense looks like at times, right? Which is kind of the way, if you look at them, I think they're only like one of 3 teams that's in a playoff spot, but a minus overall goal differential. I think they're like a -3 or something like that. They need that offense from the blue line because they don't get a ton from back behind it. But as Lud said, they also have some size. It's a good team, man. Watching them play, it's a good team. It's a good test, as Sean said.
Okay, let's look at the forwards real quick for the home side Red Wings. Because, again, Emmett Finney, John Leonard, Nate Danielson, young guys adding to the group. Obviously, Lucas Raymond has been there for a while. They are starting to, I don't know, Luds, maybe establish the next wave beyond just Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat?
Yeah, I think that's what they're hoping for. I mean, I get down to their bottom 6. You know, so many teams that it's kind of the pattern, you know, and I'm not talking about the Stars, that you get down to the bottom 6 and you're wondering, you know, are they deep enough down there? I mean, again, you look at their goals for, goals against, they're in the red anyways, you know, as a team. So it's not like they're lighting everything up when it comes to goals scored 5-on-5. They're not lighting anything up at the top of the league either. So they're just on one of these rolls. But I do believe that when it comes to Dylan Larkin, you know, he's going to be an Olympian. He is definitely the leader on that team. And then it's the other 2 guys on the right wings. It's DeBrincat and Raymond. That to me, that's who you have to be aware of. And for the good news is I think I would have Miro tonight more against DeBrincat than Raymond, in my opinion. You know, again, they're not at home, so you don't always get that last change. But DeBrincat's the one that probably worries me the most once he gets below the tops of the circles. Is that shot of his? It's accurate. He gets it off, and he's scoring some goals right now.
And then, of course, John Gibson. We're doing this backwards. Usually do the Stars first, then the Red Wings. But I think since we talked about it, I'm going to play a clip. Let's do it now. So if you would, Ryan, let's do Detroit number 2. Here's Todd McClellan talking about his goalie, John Gibson, who, of course, was acquired from the Anaheim Ducks.
I think there's been less erratic, not John as a whole, but the group in front of him in that 25, 50 square foot area around the net. Less erratic with goaltender, less erratic with D-man. 1 save and done instead of 2, 3, 4. And I think that's helped him. He's just more confident, and sometimes it takes a little while to settle in.
Well, he's won 7 in a row, guys. Sam, he clearly has gotten something figured out, because before this 7-start streak that he's on, where he's 7 wins and 2 shutouts, he was winless in 7 appearances, where he had an 0-5-1 record, plus he got pulled in a game against the Ducks. They ended up coming back and winning, which was crazy. But I'm telling you, he's since basically November 20th, he's been a different goalie, Sam.
Yeah, and that thing, what do you say at the end there about takes time when you get traded? People forget that all the time. And I don't make excuses for, like, I understand that you got to find a way, but this is a goaltender who's played, I don't even know how many years, but his whole career in Anaheim, building a team that they thought was going to be good. Then it wasn't good. Then they rebuilt. He was the backbone. Ludson, and we were just talking before the show, he was always injured because maybe of the overuse. He's taken 40 shots on goal. He just went to a totally different place where they thought they'd be a playoff team. They'd be able to make a run, get deeper. You're supposed to be a team that's on the up. And he didn't start well. And now he's, as you said, he's starting to roll a little bit. And the key for that team, we just talked about their goal differential. They're one of the best teams in 1-goal games because that goal differential is there. They don't have the window. As soon as it gets to a 2-goal or 3-goal, they become a worse team, especially if it's a 3-goal game. They don't win a lot of blowouts. They lose a lot of those games. So if they're not really tight in a game, they don't win. And that's pretty important to have good goaltending in that situation. And Gibson hasn't been stellar. His numbers aren't fantastic, but he's winning the games because he's making 1 or 2 of the saves that he just wasn't making earlier. Not necessarily highlight reel crazy windmills, but just the one where it's a breakdown, the Austin Matthews kind of breakaway, quick play. You need a save, you get a save. That's the good example of what Gibson's been giving them.
All right. Time for us to hit our ad break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Dallas Stars and get you ready. I've got some stuff from Glenn Gulletson, but also it's Stars and Red Wings. And Luddy remembers a lot of those old rivalries here on the DLLS Stars Pregame Show.
Well, I think tonight we should start with the shirts, Ryan. Let's get away from the hat thing. Let's start with the Wyatt Johnston shirt if we could, because I think Wyatt is going to have one of those kind of games tonight. We're getting a little bit closer to possible decision time. Wyatt knows that, and I think he's going to go off tonight. Okay, let's go so Sam can rub it in, and let's go to the hats. And I would like to talk about the green one and the white one. Apparently, they're very nice hats. And Sam has got the Cadillac hat, which apparently he's a car guy now. But
he's a motorhead.
I would just like to say, and I would like to send an apology out because, I've been complaining about not being able to get my hat and stuff like that. So I want to just send an apology to all city and everybody. Just be careful.
Wait a minute. What?
I know I paid a lot of extra money to get the hats here on time, get them here before Christmas. And I've been ranting about that. So I just want to, that's a public apology.
Something smells. No. Something smells fishy here. I'm not jumping in your read, but you never.
I thought that was coming.
That explains it.
It's a Festivus miracle.
Listen, so here's what I think happened. So I called Qualis a couple nights ago. I had him fix the shingles on the roof. And I believe that Santa figured that it was safe to land up there.
Oh.
So the sleigh had arrived at about 4:00 this afternoon. There was a little guy in a little red suit that jumped out of this truck, and he was knocking on the door. And there they were, all 4 hats.
Oh, my God.
2 of the black ones, 2 of the white ones.
Look at
You know what I got to say about that?
Bang. Oh, man.
Do I hear music?
Yes.
We've got a
There's
Christmas.
Christmas Luds.
It sounds like a chorus choir singing Luds.
Oh, we are off the rails, Luds.
How long is this? How long is this going on for?
Oh, nice catch, Luds. You almost got it again.
Luds,
You're always
I
good
love
for
it.
about halfway through the curse word. And then your brain goes, wait, stop. You caught it right before that last mobile.
That's all you could come up with tonight?
It's a Festivus
Lud-
miracle.
Luds looks like he's driving the rig.
I know. How about that? So you guys both, I'm the only one without a hat now. I feel left out.
This, I will say though, real quick, this one I haven't tried the other ones on because I just packed one on my trip. This one is awesome. I know it's the funny Cadillac one, but it's the athletic kind of stretchy material, so it's super light. I like it. Luds, you like that one?
Yes, I do. I'm happy
it's
they're here.
Good thing, Luds, that you did the expedited shipping because mine is still not here. And I paid for the regular. So there you have it. It worked out. All right. Let's talk about the Stars for a minute. We just blew through that supporters club. You should sign up. It's great.
Yep,
we don't have to do a read for that. That was way too much fun. Yep. Get your badges, Harry. Let's talk about Maverick Bourque for a second. Sam, he snapped a 10-game goal drought on Sunday. He had one of those games where he simply was playing like, I'm not going to let the circumstances of the game keep me from getting on this score sheet. And he eventually did get a goal, had one disallowed. and it just didn't matter. But now he's playing on the second line for the last couple of games, and here we go again. Same question. Is Maverick Bourque ready to take a step? We've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, we have. And it's been something I've dove into obviously a lot, because I'm always interested in whether it's a player that's trying to find consistency or whether it's a young player trying to figure out if they even have it at this level. I just think it's fascinating to see them kind of battle up and down through that. And Bourque's been a perfect example of someone who's had the stretches. We talked a lot about last year when they went on that trip to New York. He had one of his best games. Then he played like 3 or 4 really good games after that. And he didn't get worse at all during the season. But as we know, Pete DeBoer, didn't trust him a ton. I think he was scratched a bunch in the playoffs. It never really had the consistency. Well, Glenn Gullickson's given him a chance here pretty much every night. We're not taking you out. We're not only going to not take you out, we're going to find lines that work for you. And I don't know if it was just recently seeing that he's playing better and now they need to give him more responsibility or what, but he's played a very complete game. And now, as you said, he gets elevated. He's got a huge opportunity. But the key thing I always say with Maverick Bourque, he has to outscore those guys, Sam Steele, Radek Faksa. He can't be just solid and have a little offense. He's got a higher ceiling, and they have people that can do the defensive stuff, penalty killing, better than he can. So he has to find a way to have a little more offense than that. As you said, I'm really fascinated to see if he actually has it on a consistent level.
All right, let's go to the lines real quick, because in that conversation, there is an adjustment I think I had wrong when I sent Ryan the lines. Ryan, will you show the Stars forward lines, please? Because Matt Duchene is not going to skate on the line with Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen to start tonight. It's Sam Steele moving back up there. Justin Ritzkovian, this is how they finished, if I'm not mistaken, of the Toronto game. Ritzkovian on the left, Duchene in the middle, Jamie Benn on the right. Bourque is with with Robertson and Hintz. And then Adam Ernie, as you guys heard earlier, we were talking about that with Sean, in for Blackwell. He'll play on the right with Faksa and Oscar Beck. And I'm curious, Luds, he's clearly better in the middle. We've talked about that, Matt Duchene. Duchene, Ben, and Ritzkovian, is that going to be good enough for the way that he thinks? Are we happy with that trio and taking him away from Wyatt and Mikko? Obviously, they don't want to take Wyatt out of the middle.
I just think it adds depth on the line. And Matt should be in the middle of the ice. He's right there for 15 years. So that,
Yep.
But we spend so much time talking about these lines and who's playing with who, and it really doesn't matter because it's never going to stay the same. And the players know it now, which is great because they're expecting adjustments to happen. They're prepared for adjustments to happen. And it's not just because somebody's not playing well. It's Gully wants to throw a different look, or he wants to get a little bounce out of one guy or the other one. So I with everything that we've been talking about Gully and all this kind of stuff, and when you were talking about the dads and all this stuff in the beginning, I start to feel like Gully's really almost one of the players. He's like one of them. Back in the day, long time ago, and even in the minors and stuff, like there were player coaches at the time.
Yep.
He's like one of those guys. He's not, because he's got to be more of an authoritative figure. But I think that I do believe that they finally have a coach here that this group feels completely comfortable going and talking to, whether it's about my playing time, who I'm playing with, because Gully seems to be open and he's not going to jump down your throat and say, wait a minute, are you complaining about who you're playing? He's not one of those kind of guys. He'll sit there. He's going to listen to the conversation, and there's more apt to a player that might not have a little clarity on certain things and be able to go up, knock on the door, and talk to him and feel good about it.
Now, Luds, we did a big thing on this yesterday, talking about the difference in coaching style and personality of Glenn Gullickson versus Pete DeBoer, and then you heard what Sean said in his first hit, and then obviously your point. Sean said that this team feels like they're
the attention span of this pen.
That's probably
after like 10 seconds. You guys know I'm done.
What Sean said toward the tail end of his hit was this team, in Sean's impression of being around them at morning skate today, that they're playing for each other, that they're all in this together. And he said they keep, I don't know if you heard this, you probably didn't. He said they keep not trying not to say compared to Pete DeBoer, but they're pretty much making their answers comparing Pete DeBoer. And it seems like Gully Luds is making that culture change. Look, I think they all really respected Pete DeBoer's tactics as a head coach, but there's a different vibe personality wise. And your approachability comment makes a lot of sense for Gully.
Well, here, when Todd was talking earlier, McClellan, the word that I was wondering that he was going to throw out there was chaos. There's less chaos in front of Gibson now than whoever it's Todd's team right now, or was Anaheim's team, which there was always chaos there. And that leads to injuries, and it leads to fatigue, and it leads to guessing. And I think Gibson is now kind of settled into that. So I think with what's going on here with Gully is everybody knows where they stand. Everybody feels like they're all in the stock market. They're in this together. Like they're all invested in it, and they win and lose as a team, which they don't lose much. That's the good news. But I just feel that there's a very comfortable feeling with the players in the room that when a coach, a lot of times when coaches will come in, even when you're doing well, everybody will kind of shut up and they go, oh, what's going on? What happened? Are we in trouble? Did somebody do something? What happened? I think these guys are, come on in, open door policy coming this way, open door policy going that way.
Well, tell me your reaction to this clip from Glenn Gulletson talking about the dad's trip so far.
Yeah, the dads just seem to have a great time. A lot of good people there, and they had a few drinks last night, and I don't know how many guys lost money in the casino, but no, it's whenever they're around, it's the energy. You can feel the energy. It just changes the dynamic a bit in such a good way. Yeah. As a coach, you're just hoping it carries over to the evening.
And
then I would say when you're talking about drinking and gambling, they're in Detroit, so about 4 hours away is a rehab center in Minnesota. It's called Hazleton. Maybe they ought to stop in for a day and a half on their way back to wherever they're headed to.
Well, here's the other part, and Sean mentioned this in his hit, but Dad's in the video meeting this morning.
Backseat coaching from the dads when you did the film room.
Oh, you know what? I was looking around, to be honest, when we did our meetings, and the dads were paying attention more than the sons, I think. So that was they were more dialed in. I could tell that. I saw a few heads nod when dads are looking at plays that were showing, and it was quite neat to watch from the back of the room.
There's just a difference, right? And we keep saying, Sam, the vibe. Look, they're winning. That helps a lot.
Yeah, of course.
But when your coach is approachable and yet still respected, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, and the dad's trip is exactly what it should be. It brings energy. It brings you out of the mundane. That we talk about the schedule all the time. That this is a great way to bring energy to your team that maybe is dragging a little bit from playing so many games, traveling so much, all that kind of stuff. And it also, maybe to me at least, the dad's trip tonight could be more of a focus, right? That sometimes the game before a holiday is a weird one, right? You either win 8-7, or you come out, you don't play well and you lose 4-0 in a game you should win. They can be kind of wacky just because there's so much else going on. But with the dads there, we know they want to play well for them, right? We know they want to have a good game and finish strong on this trip for them. But the other thing that you said, it brings it every day when Goldson does it. Things the way he does around the rink. It's like you don't always need the big dad's trip or the mom's trip or the celebrating a guy for his 1,000th game. You don't need those big milestones as much because each day is a little lighter. And the Stars have always been really good at being upbeat, and they don't take things too long. Under Pete DeBoer, they were really good at forgetting things quickly and moving on. So they already have that. Then you bring in a coach that kind of pushes that further. And I just think it's important nowadays. It may not have been as important back in Ludd's day when you kind of had the more straightforward hockey players, but now the way people are, when you're having fun and you're energetic, it can drastically change the way you play the game.
All right, guys, one more clip to wrap up our pregame show. And Ludds, because you love it so much, here's Todd McClellan on the Dallas Stars.
Boy, they play, there's 3 zones on the ice. They have owned all 3. Their special teams are, top 5 in both scenarios. Their 5-on-5 differential is right at the top in the league. They're getting outstanding goaltending. I don't know what more I can say about that group. That's what we're facing tonight, and I think it's a real good challenge for our group heading into the break. They're a confident group over there. They play the same way night after night, and it'll be good for us to play against them.
Did we lose Ludds already? He just walked off the screen. His hat's back there on the shelf. That's
done.
Nice. He's done. He's had enough of it.
He's holding the camera. How shaky it is. Hey, Lud's a little shaky.
There he is. All right. Sam, Luds, enjoy the game tonight. It's on Victory Plus and, depending on where you are, TNT or HBO Max. And we will be here for the post-game show.
How's your hat? Wear your hat for the post-game show, Owen.
Unfortunately, my hat has not been delivered. Not bad, Luds. All right, guys. Let's go out to the sound of Luds here at Christmas.
He's the man. No.